Hey folks, Will here again with Happily Ever Outdoors. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Bare Bowl Cook Pot. You heard me right, this is a cook pot. So if you're curious about this thing, keep watching. This is the 64-ounce version. I believe it's called their Mama Bear. They've got a couple different sizes going up and down from that as well. And you might already be familiar with these, or maybe you've seen them at some point. They've been out for a little while, but it was actually a new thing to me until I just won this recently in a giveaway on another YouTube channel. Now, I was a little skeptical of this thing at first, and this will actually be my first time testing it out today, but I have done a little bit of research, and it seems like it does work exactly as advertised. So what you've got here is basically a heavy duty, this is an aluminum base plate. So this is gonna be your actual cooking surface right here. This is gonna be your handle. It opens up just like that, flips over, and you can see the whole thing unfolds. And you've got basically this flexible material, which is gonna be what creates the actual body of your pot. So this is actually really simple to assemble. You can see all you're gonna need to do, if you flip that handle up out of the way, you're gonna fold the corner in like that, fold that other corner over, there's a snap. Then the same thing on the other side, you're gonna pull those two corners, fold it over, and then you're gonna flip that handle over and lock that in. And now your pot is fully assembled, ready to go. Alright guys, so as I mentioned, this is actually my first time testing this thing out. So we're gonna do so with my Emberlit camp stove. It was raining kind of heavily yesterday, so we'll have to see what we can find as far as firewood, but there is a lot of, you know, dead, fallen stuff that's up off the ground, so I think we'll be good to go to get a little fire going. Alright, so guys, now that we've got this going a little bit, shouldn't be too long, we should be ready to get started boiling our water. Something to keep in mind with this pot though is it's not really designed for open flame, like for you to throw it on your campsite. So if you are using a wood burning stove like this, you're not going to want it to be, you know, so big to where flames are coming up around the sides of your cook pot. There's a reason they put that metal plate on the bottom. This is not going to, you know, immediately start melting, but of course prolonged exposure to direct flame, that's not what it's designed to handle. So just make sure, you know, you keep your heat source under control. Alright guys, so for our first test we're gonna do the Campfire Classic Top Ramen. Now of course this pot, you know, again will hold up to 64 ounces of water, but we're not going to use nearly that much because we're just doing this one pack of top ramen just for me. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing on there. All right, we're getting closer. I'm starting to see some bubbles. Just taking a little longer and a little smokier than I expected, but that's nothing to do with the pot. It's just that I'm having a hard time finding some decent, you know, dry little pieces of wood to work with. So, but we should be there any minute now. It's about that time. Get ready, this water will be boiling in a second now. All right guys, it looks like we are good to go. So now it is time to release the ramen. Oh yeah, and you can't forget that magic little powder, the special stuff you sprinkle in there that makes ramen so delicious. Gotta have it. Normally I'm more of a beef ramen kind of guy. I don't know about you, or sometimes like the spicy ones, but chicken was all we had in the pantry, so the chicken's all right too. So we'll just give this a little bit here. I'll give it a quick stir. And before we know it, this culinary delight will be ready for consumption. Yummy. If you're like me, usually if I'm by myself, I don't really bring bowls and stuff like that if I can get away from it. So this is sort of part of the testing for me, right? I want to be able to eat out of it too. Dropping food everywhere. I gotta save some for the raccoons, right? Alright guys, so I definitely would say test number 1 is a success, no surprise. For most of your regular stuff, you know, boiling water for coffee, for ramen noodles, you're not gonna have any issues there whatsoever. But what I was really curious about with this pot is how well it would handle the messier stuff, right? How well it would handle the stuff, like would it just get all gunked up and nasty, or would it like just stick to it and get all burnt and gross? Like that's what I was curious about. So for test number 2, we're gonna try another one of my campsite favorites, which is Bbq Meatballs. But first, let's try a little more of this delicious ramen. Oh, it's so hot. Oh, but it's so good. Alright guys, so as promised, as the next example of my amazing culinary expertise, we're going to be doing barbecue meatballs. Now, I cheated a little bit if you didn't guess. These are some pre-made, basically like frozen Italian meatballs you get from the grocery store. And I just brought a handful of them from the house, so they're still kind of partially frozen, which is why I threw them in there with a little bit of water, kind of let them, you know, thaw out so that they'll heat up and get, you know, warmed up all the way through without burning on the outside or sticking or anything like that. Now, I'm not really worried about trying to bring this to a boil or nothing, because these are pre-cooked. Again, I'm just trying to you know, get them thawed out all the way through before I move to step number 2. Alright, so I think that's been long enough in the water, so I'm just going to kind of drain off the extra juices here so we can get a little bit of a brown on the outside. Alright. So for our last and most critical step in the barbecue meatball recipe, we're gonna throw on some sweet Baby Ray's sweet and spicy barbecue sauce. This is good stuff right here. This is like top notch, what I would recommend, hands down. So we're just gonna kind of squirt some of that in there. Just give us a nice sauce for our meatballs. Stir them around a little bit. It works all right if there's still a little bit of moisture in there too, a little bit of that water left. Kind of help it, you know, mix up and coat everything a little better. And then we'll just kind of let it cook down a little bit, thicken up. All right, folks, so these bad boys are almost ready to go. But I think the trick with these is, got something on my face there. The trick with these is being a little bit patient, giving them some time to cook down for that sauce to kind of thicken up, get nice and good. So you don't want to rush them too much. I let it caramelize a little bit. Oh, that's good barbecue sauce though. Yummy. As far as the performance of the pot though, I mean, it looks like it's going pretty good so far. I don't know if you guys can really see, but I'm looking at that. Even though I've had that like thick barbecue sauce, you know, it's been in there cooking for a while, but you can see it's still moving pretty freely, or at least I can. You might be able to see a little bit through the smoke there. So it seems like the non-stick, properties of it are holding up pretty well. So that's part of why I wanted to try cooking this in here. Let it cook a little bit longer, cook down, just to kind of see how well it handles that. But it looks like it's holding up just fine right now. All right, looks like these things are ready to go. Let's give it a try. Oh man, I can never get enough of barbecue meatballs, man. So good. Yeah, you can have one too. Tasty. Nope, just joking. Sorry, keeping it for myself. No offense, I'd hook you guys up, but the whole through the computer screen thing, through your smartphone doesn't really work. At least not until technology catches up, right? So you just have to take my word that this is a really good meatball. And again, just like I was saying, like you can see that it's not all like stuck in there, it's not all crusted in there. It's, everything's sliding around. There's nothing stuck on there, nothing burnt on there, which I'm honestly like kind of pleasantly surprised. All right, so we'll go ahead and let that camp stove burn down for a little while, cool off before we get ready to pack up. I just want to show you guys, when you get ready to clean this thing out, all you're gonna need to do is just open it up just like you did, or when you folded it up, and you can see it's pretty easy to clean out. I didn't really bring the proper stuff with me. Kind of forgot about this step in the process, so all I really got is some paper towels, so I'll probably finish this up at the house. But you can see, I mean, with that non-stick material, that this comes off pretty easy, even something nastier like barbecue sauce. And then of course, when you've got it cleaned up good, a lot better than I do, you're just gonna fold that right back up, and it's gonna snap closed, and you're gonna be ready to hit the trail. All right guys, so my closing thoughts on the Bear Bowl. I'll go ahead and start with the cons. I think the first potential downside is obviously gonna be the price. It's gonna be more expensive than just your traditional cook pot, depending on what you get, but you can get some cook pots out there for really cheap. One other little minor gripe that I would have, and I mostly am just pointing this out for your guys' knowledge, is that when you go to pour, you're gonna have to watch, because sometimes like water can get kind of caught around those corners, where the folds are at, and so water might pour out of an edge that you're not expecting. So if you've got like hot boiling water and you're trying to pour it out into another container, you're gonna want to be mindful of that. Not a huge thing, not like a major safety concern, but it's just kind of one of those live and learn sort of deals. As far as the pros go though, there's definitely a lot of great things with this pot. It certainly accomplishes the initial goal, which is to make a pot that is lightweight and it's super thin. So storage wise, you're not gonna beat it with anything else that's out there. Now, depending on how you have your kit set up, this may or may not be an issue. For me, if I'm carrying a solid container pot, I'm gonna have that stuffed full of stuff inside of it, so I'm not really gonna lose that space inside my pack. But if you're trying to build a smaller kit, certain bags you might not be able to fit a round cooking container in there. So this would be perfect. It's gonna slide right in a thin pocket, just like if you have one of those breakdown stoves like the Emberlit one I used in this video. You can slide those two right in side by side, and they're not gonna take hardly any space at all, and you've basically got a complete cook system. Of course, time will tell. This was just my first test of this pot, but I am really impressed as far as my initial impressions go. So if you guys are interested in this product, I certainly wouldn't turn you away from it. I'll go ahead and drop links in the description below so you can find more info and go ahead and purchase if you want to get one. Of course, we would love to hear from you, so if you've got any questions or comments, make sure you drop them down below. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time, stay happy, stay outdoors.